In some of the states, prisoners get more outside time than children. What if you kill sex hormone production before puberty? What is melatonin? It's not a sleep hormone, it's an antioxidant. There's a reason why people call it screen addiction, is because that blue light is interacting with your eye and it's fluxing a lot of dopamine.
Red light could potentially be bad too.
Yeah, by itself, it potentially can be.
Bryan Johnson, the guy who's like, don't die. When he speaks about the sunlight, he tells people to be careful because if you're trying to reverse your age, you don't want the skin damage.
He's technically kind of pseudo doing this cellular repair autophagy thing, but he's doing it chemically and through procedures.
You can just go outside and get it from the sun.
Right. How many times have you given excellent advice to somebody for free? like you walk away from that conversation like, man, that motherfucker, if he does even half of the stuff I told him, he's going to be fucking golden.
It's 1 out of 1,000 that does that. Sometimes it's like somebody that you kind of forgot that you told something to, and they're like, hey man, I lost like 60 pounds doing what you said. And you're like, oh, I only talked to you for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But somebody that you talked to for like an hour, they never follow through.
Somebody you talk to for an hour.
You spend all this time.
You talk to them, the less they listen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody that you were like giving out as much information as you could. They seem to never follow through. Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
We got David Herrera here in the house today, and really the only background you need to know is that David totaled 1978 in the 198-pound weight class in powerlifting, and that's really all the credentials you need.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
810-pound deadlift, like that's not too shabby.
No, I mean, there's the, I'm genetically blessed, and then there's the I worked my ass off for it. It did take 8 years.
How long his arms are. Of course he did 810. I would have done 910 if I had arms that long.
Right. Yeah. There's some of that, right? And, they're not necessarily wrong.
Try doing it without knee wraps, bro.
Yeah, I love it. But, it's one of those things where no matter how genetically blessed, if you don't try, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You got to do something with genetics. You're gifted. So let's jump into light. Let's talk about light a little bit. Let's first of all, might as well talk about these ridiculous glasses that we're wearing.
Yeah.
What are these doing for us? Are they actually helpful? Is there any real proof that they do anything?
So as far as proof, yeah, I mean, you can measure this, right? It depends on how many things you want to hook up to your body and how many tests you want to take. But yeah, you could prove this by, as far as at night, right? You're going to have a better melatonin response if you're blocking blue light. That's proven, right? We know that blue light squashes melatonin. And if you squash melatonin, you're not going to sleep as well, right? So blue light blocking glasses are very helpful for that. Now, some people might be asking, well, are you guys trying to go to bed? And the answer is no. But the other thing that blue light does is it interacts with an opsin called melanopsin, right? And it's very sensitive to the blue light wavelength. And melanopsin can be destroyed whenever it's oxidized too much.
That's what I've been trying to tell him. He won't listen. I'm always talking about melanopsin every show.
You know what?
Melanopsin.
Put these on.
But yeah, so it protects certain opsins that are sensitive to blue light, right? And that's mainly what the blue light, blocking glasses are going to do. Now, why would you want to do that, right? It's because melanopsin and other opsins in the body are doing things. And melanopsins, or opsins in general, right? There's rhodopsin, melanopsin, encephalopsin. There's like 3 or 4 of them. They are all responsible. They're chromophores, number one. That means they actively absorb specific wavelengths of light, right? And blue light specifically can destroy them when there is absence of red and UV. So I want to be clear, wearing these outside is probably not good for you, right? Because you're blocking the blue wavelength when it should be present homogeneously with red light and UV light. Right?
The blue light that we're getting now is basically just blue light.
Yeah, think of it like a refined sugar, right? Sugar, carbs are not bad. But when you consume only the very refined amount of it, well, now you're very narrow in the wavelength.
So does this mean that red light could potentially be bad too?
By itself, yeah. By itself, it potentially can be. It can potentially be. We're talking very narrow bandwidth red light therapy devices. I'm not going to say they're going to harm you in any way because there aren't any opsins in those wavelengths. Right? There is not a dedicated receiver of red light. And the reason why that exists is because red light doesn't, it penetrates and fills the voids of your body, right? There's a scientist, he's a physics scientist that has demonstrated this with red light. And basically what's happening with red light is it's scattering inside of your tissue and hitting all tissues everywhere, right? Now, that happens under red light from the sun because the red light from the sun, or sunlight in general, is non-polarized. What does that mean? It means that the wavelengths of light are coming at different angles from every angle. And so when they hit you and penetrate you, think of it like, a bullet's coming like this. So if it hits a wall, it's going to ricochet in a specific angle away, right? When all the bullets are coming in the same angle, they're all going to ricochet in the same direction. That's polarized light. All man-made light is polarized. Sunlight does not come in one angle. It comes in lots of angles because it has to go through the atmosphere, right? So if there was no atmosphere, technically sunlight could be polarized. But because there's an atmosphere, the atmosphere scatters all the wavelengths this is coming through. So all the wavelengths that are hitting you from sunlight are hitting you from different angles. Right, that's the difference. So now let's talk about red light specifically and why it could be harmful is because red light panels are only coming in very narrow bandwidths. 660, 620, 830, and 850 are the popular ones for most panel manufacturers.
And question. When you say the word harmful, are we saying harmful or not optimal?
Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. For red light.
Yes.
For red light.
Okay, so it's not going to harm you. It could have some benefit, but it's not an optimal way to get red light. Yeah,
because of all, number one, the polarized thing that I just talked about.
Yes.
It's not going to scatter effectively.
Okay.
And the reason why it's not harmful is because there isn't a dedicated chromophore in the body.
Okay.
Right. So you can't overload a specific tissue or a specific chromophore with red light, but you may not get optimal effects sometimes. And there is a U curve, meaning too much can elicit the opposite effect that you're looking for. So let's talk about ATP production for a moment, right?
Yeah.
Red light is very popular for making ATP production. That's the going thing, and it does do that, right?
And when we say red, are we also, I'm sorry for interrupting, but red and near infrared, because that's what most of these devices have.
Yeah,
red
and so when I described the wavelengths, right, I said 600, 660, that's red, right? That's the visible color red.
Yes.
And then anything above 720 or something like that, that's near infrared. So as the number gets higher, I said, 830 and 850, another popular wavelength, those are near infrared.
Gotcha.
Right. And basically when I say near infrared, mid infrared, and far infrared, we're talking about heat. Right.
Okay.
And those are the wavelengths you can't see but are in the red range.
What about like a EMR tech light? It has like one of the lights I have has like a little light and then it has another light. Are those trying to give me different wavelengths?
Yeah, that's how EMR tech have
and that's maybe more optimal.
Yeah, more varied wavelengths is more optimal. Yeah. So that's what sunlight's going to have. Sunlight is not going to be 660, 620. It's going to basically start at 400. Well, actually, it's going to if it's the right time of the year and you got UVB, it's going to start at like 280 nanometers, and it's going to go all the way up to like 2,000 nanometers, which is heat.
Yeah.
Right? And so every single one of those, you can count each nanometer, and it's going to be fully full from the sun.
Okay.
And a red light panel is not.
Okay.
Right. So if you were to graph this like a ruler, right, and you just marked it, from those numbers that I just described, and you can actually kind of look this up and people might get a better picture. Just look up electromagnetic field spectrum, and we'll kind of show that. But point being is they're very narrow. It's only in the first, 2 or 3 nanometers of this section, 2 or 3 nanometers of that side. And the reason why they're picking those is because we know that certain parts of the ATPase and the electron transport chain react positively to those wavelengths, specifically chromophore number 4 and the ATPase. And so they're going to generate more ATP production and more water production with those wavelengths of light, right? So that's visible light, right? It starts a little bit under 400, 280, 300, somewhere in there. That's UV light. And then it goes all the way up to like 1,000 on there as far as the visible spectrum, right? That's the light you can see. But then if you see here, it says infrared, and it goes from wherever that red cuts off all the way up to, 10,000 nanometers, which is infrared rays, right? And ultraviolet goes all the way down to 200 or sub 200 into the 120s or so, and that's going to be UVC. That's what we're talking about as far as there's very specific swaths from a red light panel. And the reason why it could potentially be you could call it harmful, but not ideal.
Not ideal.
Is because you can overdo it if you don't have other wavelengths present.
So at that time.
At that time. So like if you were to just say, I only have a red light panel, then I would say, use it for 20 minutes, see how you feel. If you feel good, great. Probably stop there. If you want to use it more, pay attention to how you feel 20 minutes later. It's short timelines.
Yes.
Right? And if you continue to feel good, that's fine, right? It's going to be variable depending on skin type, the type of clothes that you're in, all of that type of stuff, your hydration level, right? Because red light scatters everywhere. So all of that plays a role. So there isn't a precise way of like, you shouldn't use it longer than 20 minutes or you shouldn't use it longer than 30. It's going to be variable. But the thing is, there is a curve, right? Too much narrow band infrared light can make you feel a little bit tired or a little bit sleepy at different times of the day, because red light also has an effect on melatonin release and stuff like that. So like if you're at the end of your day and you turn on a red light panel, you're going to get a little sleepy.
Yeah.
Right. But if you turn on that same red light panel at 10 a.m. because, it's you've been working or you went outside for a minute and then you came back in and you put that red light panel on, you actually might feel energized. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You're going to get different effects from it, and it can be inconsistent, and it can make people be a little bit second thinking that they're doing something good or harmful, and it's not good or harmful. It's just different effects at different times because it's not a specific chromophore that does a thing.
Gotcha. And to clarify too, so red and near infrared are present all day long from natural sunlight. Mm-hmm. I just want to make some
100% all the time, even on cloudy days, even when it's raining and snowing, it is present because you can verify this. There's a measurement you can look at, and it's called the temperature, right? Mm-hmm. Even on a snowy day, it's warmer during the day than it is at night because of infrared.
Yes.
Right? That is literally how it works. So if you want free infrared light therapy, you just go outside.
Yeah.
Right? Will you get better at, when it's not cloudy versus when it's cloudy? Sure. Now, here's another thing, right? The winter, the temperature gets a little bit colder, but the amount of infrared is still there. It's the same year round, the amount. The intensity is the only thing that lowers, right? So you're still going to get it in the winter in December.
Yeah.
Like you do in June. The difference is the sun angle changes enough that it makes it so that it's not as intense, right? That's the difference that we're talking about. But you're still going to get that effect. You're still going to get the infrared light therapy effects from just going outside in the sun for free.
Yeah.
All the time, as long as it's daytime.
So I want to also make another clarification here. Mark asked about the glasses at the very beginning of the episode. That means that, because I think there's there's kind of a meme on social media. It's like if you see somebody with the red glasses on and a podcast mic in front of them, shut that shit off immediately. So there's a level of legitimacy to using these during the day if you're in a blue lit environment.
Correct.
Or in front of screens. And along with that question, the difference between this and then the daylight or yellow tinted glasses.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
So if you're indoors and the only light that you're being exposed to are screens and LED lights, then you are by default degrading some of your melanopsin receptor, the opsin in there. You're destroying some of them, right? And so that makes you less sensitive to some of the actions that they're going to have to control. One of them is leptin sensitivity. Okay. The other one is a dopamine production and stuff like that. You're going to deplete. So blue light also affects tyrosine and dopamine in specific ways. Blue light, in the absence of UV and red, degrades melanin into dopamine. So you're going to feel awake, right? Like when you stare, there's a reason why people call it screen addiction. Right?
Yeah.
Is because that blue light is interacting with your eye, and it's depleting melanins at the RPE, right? In the which is the nerve that connects your eyeball to your brain, and it's fluxing a lot of dopamine, right? But the dopamine is not being created. It's being degraded from melanin substrates.
Yeah.
Right? And so that means that if you don't have a large reservoir, you don't have a lot of internal melanin or a very melanated person, or you've just been doing this for forever, right? You can essentially run into an addiction problem, because the only way that you get a dopamine hit anymore is through blue lights or screen stimulation. And so this manages that bank account. Right?
Okay, I'm not going to go on other podcasts without having these.
Right, it manages that bank account, right? Think about, anybody knows anything, right? You got to pay attention to your savings account.
Yeah.
Right. You got to make sure that that's going up and not being depleted at an accelerated rate. Think of it that way with these, right? They are a tool that allows the cost of operating to be lower when you're in a blue light electromagnetic field environment.
Yes.
Right.
And it's not like we're not still getting hit by blue light. It's just not coming through our eyeballs as much.
Right. So that's exactly what I'm saying. You're diminishing the draw on the savings account. It's not making it zero, but it's definitely helping you. Right. Just like people, coupon and do all kinds of things to save their savings account from being depleted too quickly. Think of it the same way. Right. And there are multiple vectors. There's the dopamine vector. There's the melanopsin vector. There is the cortisol vector. Right? Because part of the wakefulness cycle is the production of cortisol. And part of that has to do with blue light from the sun in the morning coupled with red. But when it's absent of red, you're going to oxidize things more because red is, in the previous episode, we talked about water and stuff like that. Red is responsible for making cellular water. So when you're inside a building, you're not making cellular water, but you are still oxidizing all these things with the blue light. Under sunlight conditions, you would have a yin and a yang that are working together.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas right now, you just have a yin, right? You have some spice going on. You're oxidizing things, right? And so you want to limit how quickly you do that, right? It's kind of like, the blunts for starting fires for fireworks.
Yeah.
Right? Like if that stick just burned, you'd run through a bunch of them, right? But one can last for forever if you just slowly burn it, right? Think of it that way.
Okay.
Seems like one of the more important things is just to get outside more.
It really, 100%.
Right. And if possible, if there's a window of time where you can get outside and see the sun come up, not everybody has the same schedule, but I guess as much as you possibly can, try to see that sun coming up or spend maybe the first, if you can get any time, the first 2 hours that the sun is up, that's some pretty good time for red light and so forth, and not run the risk of getting burnt or anything like that.
Honestly, I think the only people that can legitimately say that I don't have time or I don't have the ability to do that is school children. I'm not joking.
School children?
Yeah. Yeah, people that go to public school, children that go to public school. They're often up before the sun even comes up to get to school, to get on the bus. They're on the bus during sunrise. They get to school. They no longer get recess.
Yeah, why the hell is school so early?
Wait. So the schools really don't have recess? They just have lunch? Are you really?
As far as I understand, I homeschool my kids, but I mean, obviously it's going to vary from state to state and whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's very limited. I think I can't remember who was stating this, but
parents, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. In some of the states, prisoners get more outside time than children.
Oh, Jesus!
Right, that's what I'm saying. But see, they're children, so they don't even have a voice for themselves.
Oh,
right. So the concept
evil. That's
what I'm saying. Like the concept that you just stated, it really only applies to children.
Yeah.
Right. Because as an adult, you can say, "Hey, I'm going to take a smoke break."
Most elementary kids get about 20 to 30 minutes of recess per day. That's often outdoors, on a playground or field. Wow.
20 to 30 minutes. Can you believe that?
Dog. That's horrible.
Even when you're in in prison and you're the first month that you're there, you're not really allowed to interact with the general population. You still are allowed an hour of outside time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? What you just described is actually the school system.
Yeah, most people I know can make some sort of effort, like whether they're on their way to work and they can roll down the window or whatever it is, and then spend 3 minutes in the parking lot walking back and forth while the sun's out before they walk into the office, something like that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
But I also want to mention how disgusting the school children thing is, because it's like the UVB light, that you don't get in the morning or evening, that the vitamin D stuff, those kids, if they're not getting that, how's that going to affect your bones?
I mean, this could be the reason why we don't have the testosterone that we used to have.
That's insane.
One of the reasons.
I mean, go deeper if you think that there's something to that.
I kind of wasn't going to go here, but I'm going to go here.
Please.
There's a reson why sex transfers and transgenderism is exploding.
Oh God.
No, I'm not joking about this. We have the studies that show this. We can dictate the sex gender of eggs in chickens by the amount of blue light that they are irradiated with. We can make them all female.
I've heard that before.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, we have some of the same genetic effects because, see, mammals split off from amphibians and reptiles went one way and we went this way. Melanopsin and these opsins all go back to this central point. And these do things like sex changes at certain times of the, and more to your point, which is what he said, UV light dictates sex hormone production. What if you kill sex hormone production before puberty and you're a man?
Oh, fuck.
Because what happens when you go from, puberty? If you're a man, you change. And if you're a female, you stay the same. Right? Well, what happens if we squash that production at the base level, right? At the biological level?
Yeah.
Well, then now you're going to feel like a female because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're going to ask for a sex change. Right? It's kind of like, I didn't have to force you. It just happened. Right? And that's how a lot of this is pitched. Well, I feel this way. I'm like, yeah, you probably do. I'm not debating that.
And I mean, like something else. I'm not going to go down that run. But when I think about the health of a lot of these kids and people in general, it's like, you go from your building, maybe you're in a car, maybe you're outside for a little bit, you're in class for a lot of the day. Let's say you don't play sports, so you're not in a sport that puts you outside for maybe at least an hour. Then you're outside for maybe a little bit of lunch, and then maybe you're back in another car to another building because you're going to be on a computer. A lot of kids just like spend their time online.
Yeah. So now you're going to end up with ADHD and depression at the age of 13, 14, 15 because neurotransmitters dictate how well you can process information.
These kids aren't sleeping either.
No
one's sleeping anymore.
No. And where is melatonin made? Like that's another, false thing, right? If you go to a medical doctor or, centralized medicine, it's made at night from your pineal gland and all that. I'm like, no, it's not. That's like 10%. 10% of your melatonin is made there, right? But 90% of your melatonin is made from the neck down and all of your mitochondria when it gets interacted with by UV light. Why? Because UV light is a stressor. It's a hormetic stressor. What is melatonin? It's not a sleep hormone. It's an antioxidant. Right, evolutionary speaking, right?
Yeah.
We've just happened to exploit some of the sleep effects because we're very far down the evolutionary chain. What does that mean? That means that you get to make ice cream out of shit, right? Like you're only dealt this, right? The periodic table is only the periodic table. How complex can you make life from the same recipe? That's what evolution is.
I actually wonder if that's something that could be done.
To make ice cream out of shit.
Yeah. I
Alchemy, maybe.
I bet you someone could figure it out, right?
The body does that.
Oh, what do you mean?
Alchemy.
Yeah. Let's go into that. What do you mean?
Yeah. No, that has already been proven. There's already that was done like 50 years ago. Proven science. I can't remember who did that. I'll have to think about it. If I think about it, I'll have you guys pull it up. But that's been proven. Low energy level alchemy or transformation already has been demonstrated in biological beings, plants and things like that. Basically what they've done is this. Hey, there is this level of potassium in this seed. I've planted it and I've measured the level of potassium in the soil. And somehow when it's full grown, there's more potassium in it than when it started. Now, the rule of physics is you can't make something out of nothing.
Yes.
Unless you have alchemy, where you can take something and transform it into something else, lead into gold, right? That happens already. It happens at a low energy cost in biological systems because everything that you, and to your point, alchemy has already been demonstrated at the physics level with modern equipment, very tiny amounts. This is actually something you can look up. Physics professor turns in lead into gold. They've already done that.
Damn.
Like in the last year or so.
What?
Yeah. At very minute levels.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking microscopic, but they've turned lead into gold. They've demonstrated that alchemy is a thing.
Yes.
Well, if it's a thing and biology's been on this planet for 3.4 billion years, don't you think we've already figured that out?
Wow.
So we're not talking BS here.
Turning our fat into muscle.
You never know.
So he said he turned lead into gold for fleeting moments by causing Ryan, what's that word?
By causing
Near
near
collisions?
miss collisions of lead ions using the intense electromagnetic fields to inject 3 protons from lead nuclei, creating gold nuclei that lasted only microseconds before decaying.
Damn.
But it happened. Holy crap.
Now, why do you think it decayed?
Didn't have all the properties needed to stay stable?
Correct, because it's in a dry environment.
Ooh.
Now, what are you? You're a wet environment.
Oh, he's real wet.
Dog! Pause! No! Mark!
So what does that mean, right? Because water is very special,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that we look for life on other planets because of it, right? Because it allows for certain things to happen that aren't comprehensible, right? Like read what that said again, high energy ion collisions, right? Well, physicists that studied plants, 50, 60 years ago already demonstrated somehow something's happening that's transmutive or alchemy, right? And it's happening in a biological system, which means it stays stable, right? What is causing the stability? Remember what I said in the previous episode, water does some unique things with electricity, right? It makes it so that you can harness incredible amounts of energy, because remember, electrical energy, in terms of at the scale that we live at, is 300,000 volts to take power from the power station to your house, right? Whether that's 100 miles or 200 miles or whatever, right? But what if the miles is actually minuscule, something called angstroms? That's how things are measured at the biological level, right? Think of 1 angstrom like 100 miles, right? So 1 angstrom, which is minute in terms of scale, is actually really big when you're at that scale, okay?
Okay.
So a 300 millivolt per angstrom, right? So millivolt, we're talking tiny, tiny electricity.
Yeah.
Per angstrom, which is equal to 100 miles if you scale it up, right? If you take when you can zoom in and out with your fingers on the screen, think of it like you zoomed in. So now you zoom in till you can see that angstrom, which is now 100 miles, and it reflects the scale of 100 miles. And 30 millivolts is now 300,000 volts, right? So it's the same level of electricity as a lightning bolt at our scale, at that minute scale, right? How do you not fry all the shit inside your body? Because water can act as a conductor and an insulator.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So water provides a very unique physics in terms of stabilizing processes that sound science fiction. So, yeah, we can do alchemy. Our bodies are capable of that in the right environments. So this is very precise. Right? They had to do it your body is extremely precise, because the body has been around, biologically speaking, for 300 and whatever billion years, right? It's been experimenting with this thing for a very, very, very long time, way longer than we can even comprehend. And so that allows what I mentioned about, you only have the periodic table, and now you have to evolve and make life more and more complex. And you can start recycling like dopamine and melatonin, right? Going back, this is where this started, right? Melatonin is at first an antioxidant, right? Because single-celled organisms and simpler organisms use it as an antioxidant for stress of living on this planet.
Yeah.
Right? And it's become a hormetic stressor. And then as the organism becomes more complex, that becomes useful for other things, right? Like, oh, you know what? You're conscious during the day, but you're unconscious at night, right? So why don't we make it do some other things like inducing sleep and then quenching reactive oxygen species? And then there's this intertwinement with glutathione, right? So, glutathione is, touted as, the super antioxidant, and you can look all this up. I'm not going to get into the details of all the good stuff, right, about it, because you can go to every single website and every single YouTuber that's pitching you glutathione and trying to sell you glutathione. Plenty of information of all the good stuff it does.
Yeah.
But it is interlinked by its master, melatonin, Melatonin actually takes care of all the antioxidant stress during the day when you're in UV light and infrared light. And then when it goes away, the amount of melatonin has dictated the amount of recycling that's happening from oxidized glutathione to reduced glutathione. So now during the night, melatonin spikes and puts you to bed, and glutathione takes over and does all the nighttime stuff for recovery because it gets amplified by how much amplification of melatonin happened. If you just start cramming a bunch of glutathione, now you're going to inhibit some dopamine stuff. You're also going to inhibit some melatonin stuff and stuff like that, right? So I'm not saying glutathione use is bad. I'm saying strategically could be very beneficial. Habitually could be kind of bad, right? Kind of like Naudi Aguilar says, live intentionally, not habitually, right? Do things with intent because you know what you're doing, not habitually because somebody told you to.
You know, you were mentioning earlier about the lights and the sexes and stuff like that. I have chickens, and there's a lot of people in the area that have chickens. We got a bunch of friends that have chickens and stuff, and their chickens in the wintertime tend to really not lay that many eggs. But we have like a red light in there that's producing some heat as well. And our chickens are just cranking. They're cranking out eggs like there's no tomorrow. So, you know, just little stuff like that where you're like, that really does make a big difference.
It does, because simpler organisms are more, they have less safeties involved with having bad circadian mechanisms, right? We are actually, it's kind of our detriment, is that we can kind of damn near kill ourselves and still wake up and do it again, right? Because we're way more resilient. And simpler organisms from the mammal, you know, from one-celled organisms on, are less complex in terms of their circadian safety net, right? So if you really mess up the circadian mechanism for a chicken, immediately fertility goes down. Immediately, right? Seasonally, it'll happen that way, right? If you start to provide some of that, now that almost seems like it doesn't affect them, right? Or not as much. And a human, right? It'll take a few years to like degrade somebody to the point where they're like, something's wrong, right? Of doing, wrong things, right? Like not seeing the sunrise, for example, right? Like children, right? Like we talked about the children. Let's talk about that, right? A healthy child starts going to school at like 6 years old or whatever, right? Maybe 5. And by 10 or 11, 5 years in, they might start to have some problems. Maybe some ADHD, maybe some depression or something like that. Maybe it takes a little bit longer and it's until they're 13 or 14. But, there was a decade almost there, or 7 years or so, before they started to experience a problem. Incredibly resilient, because number one, they're made of way more of this unless they've been transgenerationally modified, which means they were born to somebody who's already living a very poor lifestyle, and you've passed those genetics. So a lot of people, the reason why this is very late, the type of stuff that I'm getting at, as far as like it's just now being explored, is because we actually have 2 genomes, right? The nuclear genome, which is where everybody's concentrated on.
The mitochondrial.
And then there's the mitochondrial genome. It's a separate genome, right? Mitochondrial genome changes radically from season to season, from decade to decade. And so if you're living a bad circadian lifestyle, you can pass on a mitochondrial genome. So this has more to do with mom than dad, right? Because you get your mitochondrial genome from your mom, and it's always passed on from mom to mom, from mom to children to mom to children.
I'm getting another Jack Cruz flashback.
PTSD settling in.
That's me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And so that's how that works, right? So yes, you as a general rule, children are more resilient until there's multi-generations of messing up the circadian clock mechanism, right? And then you can be born with cancer, right? Cancer is a mitochondrial problem. That's why you can be born with cancer because it got passed down directly from mom to child, right? And so that is a real thing, right? But, going back to, the whole point of light, and, children are really the only ones that have their hands behind their back, essentially, and are being forced, right? If their parents aren't standing up to them. But everybody else has options, right? Like you mentioned, right? roll your window down on the way to work. Step outside when you get to work. Park as far away as you can from work so it's 5 minutes to walk in instead of 30 seconds, or in the parking lot downstairs where there isn't any light.
Yeah.
Right? Take off more clothing when it's warm, right? So you absorb more. If you work in an office that has a window that can open, well, there you go, open the window, right? Take a smoke break, take a lunch break, take a sun break, right?
All right, Mark, you're getting leaner and leaner, but you always enjoy the food you're eating. So how you doing it?
I got a secret, man. It's called Good Life Protein.
Okay, tell me about that.
I've been doing some Good Life Protein. You know, we've been talking on the show for a really long time of certified Piedmontese beef, and you can get that under the umbrella of Good Life Proteins, which also has chicken breast, chicken thighs, sausage, shrimp, scallops, all kinds of different fish, salmon, tilapia. The website has nearly any kind of meat that you can think of. Lamb is another one that comes to mind. And so I've been utilizing and kind of using some different strategy, kind of depending on the way that I'm eating. So if I'm doing a keto diet, I'll eat more fat, and that's where I might get the sausage, and I might get their 80-20 grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. I might get bacon. And there's other days where I kind of do a little bit more bodybuilder style, where the fat is, you know, might be like 40 grams or something like that. And then I'll have some of the leaner cuts of the certified Piedmontese beef.
This is one of the reasons why like neither of us find it hard to stay in shape, because we're always enjoying the food we're eating. And protein, you talk about protein leverage all the time. It's satiating and helps you feel full.
I look forward to every meal. And I can surf and turf, you know.
Yeah.
I could cook up some, chicken thighs or something like that and have some shrimp with it, or I could have some steak. I would say, the steak, it keeps going back and forth for me on my favorites, so it's hard for me to lock one down, but I really love the bavette steaks.
Yeah.
And then I also love the ribeyes as well.
You can't go wrong with the ribeyes. So guys, if you guys want to get your hands on some really good meat, you can head to goodlifeproteins.com and use code POWER for 20% off any purchases made on the website, or you can use code POWERPROJECT to get an extra 5% off if you subscribe and save to any meats that are a recurring purchase.
This is the best meat in the world.
When you take a
Sun
break,
breaks need to become a thing.
yeah,
Like,
they
that
do.
Needs to be.
They do. Or better yet, right? If you have, because even the thing that, like smoking, right?
Yeah.
Like they make rooms now for you to go smoke in, right? Like you don't even go outside to go smoke. I'm like, what kind of crock?
Jesus.
I'm like,
The airport is really crazy. You're really locked in there, and you're just getting magnified with tons of blue
but
light.
that's even happening in like corporate buildings, right?
Right,
Like,
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I need a smoke break, so okay, I must give my employees a break, and they all, some of them smoke or whatever. Maybe not so much now with the, the upcoming generations and stuff, but either way, right? They start making rooms that are indoors that are for smoking, right? I'm like, okay, well, you can build those rooms in a way with glass that lets UV light and infrared through. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
There are ways to do this if you care enough, right? But as far as like you as the individual, you can go outside whenever you take your break. You can roll your window down on the way to and from work. You can choose to take your lunch break outside, right? And there are things in relationship to light that are related to temperature. You get more out of light when the temperature drops, right? This is another excuse for most people. In the winter, I don't get very much outside time because it's cold. I'm like, well, every minute of outside time is twice as valuable in the cold than it is in the
Thank you.
in the summertime, especially if you're somebody who is sun naive, right? Because it actually works to your advantage that you're actually going to build a solar callus and that's a thing that's made up. That word doesn't really exist. But
When you say sun naive, do you mean someone that's currently not getting a lot of sun? Or
yes,
Okay.
currently not getting a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Right? And so actually the winter time is the best time to start being introduced to the sun. Yeah, it sucks. It bites a little bit with the cold, but it's safer, right? If you're worried about your sun exposure causing skin damage, the winter is the safest time to do it.
By the way, I just want to mention, it's like shocking to me how sun avoidance has permeated people so deeply. Like, even my girlfriend and her friends, like when she goes outside in the winter, low UV here in Sacramento, UV's at like 2 or 3. And I see her putting on sunscreen. I'm like, whoa. Our UV isn't like at 5 or 6 right now. It's at 2 or 3. She's like, well, you always put out sunscreen when you go out. So I'm like, whoa. And then I asked her, how about your friends? They do this shit too? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, barely any UV outside and you're still using sunscreen.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you're going to make yourself potentially autoimmune. Potentially, well, I'm for sure UV, or not UV, but vitamin D deficient.
Yep.
Sex hormone deficient, right? Because those are interlinked into that, right? You need UV to make vitamin D.
Yeah.
You need UV to make sex hormones. You need UV to make neurotransmitters, right? So you're going to dispose yourself or predispose yourself to all of the conditions associated with that, right? We know that low vitamin D predisposes you to autoimmune conditions by a large margin. If you're female, Hashimoto's is probably one of the most common autoimmune conditions that a female can get, and it goes sky high when you compare it to vitamin D levels in people. So then people just start taking vitamin D pills, right? But it doesn't work that way because the vitamin D receptor is intertwined at the mitochondrial membrane, right? So it's like a brake or a gas pedal at the energy production part of your body, right?
Yeah.
And so it's intrinsic that vitamin D interacts there, but oral pill doesn't do the same thing.
What about dietary vitamin D?
That's what I would call a supplement. Right?
Okay.
Right. Like, so
Even from like a fish or from...
right. Now fishes are a little bit different. The reason why is because their vitamin D is stored in omega-3s, right? Whereas you pop a pill, that's a seed oil, right? That's going to be soybean oil probably, right? And so so you're popping vitamin D with an inflammatory oil versus an anti-inflammatory oil. And more importantly, DHA, omega-3s, are incorporated into cell membranes. Remember what I just said about vitamin D? Vitamin D is at the membrane level of the mitochondria.
Yeah.
Well, if you pop it with a seed oil, then you're going to effectively change where it goes. It might not go to the right vitamin D receptor, right? It might activate some, but not all.
Yeah.
Can you get like a false sense of security by altering things with supplements that then therefore alter things on your blood work?
Yeah.
And
see it all the time.
Think you're healthier than you're so I get a vitamin D test and mine's 80. I'm like, yeah. But I've been just smashing like vitamin D pills.
The common one is this. If you are smashing vitamin D pills and your vitamin D comes back in 80, I can almost guarantee you that one of two things is going to come back out of whack. Either your LDL cholesterol is going to be too high or your DHEA is going to be too low. Right? The reason why is because vitamin D comes from LDL cholesterol. That's the molecule that's being interacted with by UV light. It's being sulfated and turned from a fat-soluble molecule into a water-soluble molecule and then making pre-vitamin D and all of those things. Well, if you take vitamin D and you don't go outside, well, what's the LDL cholesterol going to do now? Nothing. It's just going to build and build and build. The reason why it's going to build and build and build, because most people will be like, well, yeah, but normally a feedback loop means that if I'm taking vitamin D, the demand for vitamin D should go down and my LDL should sort itself out. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't just turn into vitamin D. It also turns into pregnenolone and DHEA, right? And if you're not going outside, you're not going to turn it into those either.
Yeah.
But those are going to be low. That's why I said one of two things is going to happen, probably both. You're going to have low DHEA because you're still not going outside and you're not sulfating that cholesterol molecule to go down the line towards DHEA. And you're still making vitamin or LDL because LDL is not dictated by the food you eat. It's dictated by the liver. The liver produces it. And the liver still is getting the signal from your sex hormones. Hey, you're low on sex hormones.
Yeah.
So the liver is going to go, well, crap, I guess I'm not doing a good enough job. I guess I need to make more LDL because it doesn't understand that you're not interacting with UV light. It's still getting a feedback mechanism of low sex hormones.
Yes.
Right. And so this is part of the communication highway of the body, right? The circadian mechanism is not just I interacted with sunlight. That's kind of all you really need to know. But what it does is it sets switches at different intervals on the track at the same time.
Yeah.
So everybody's on the same page.
So question, since we're on the topic of vitamin D, is it positive if somebody were to take X IUs of vitamin D, let's say 10 or 20,000, but they also get sunlight, was there a positive or a negative? And of course, all of this stuff is individual, so there might be some other things. But what if somebody, they're taking vitamin D and they're making sure to get outside during morning, midday, and evening?
I would say that it could turn out okay. It could, right? And what I'm saying is, what are your sex hormones doing, right?
Gotcha.
Because if your sex hormones are still tanked, then you have no business taking vitamin D, and you need to exploit more sunlight.
Got it.
Right? Now, my question would be, why are you taking the vitamin D if your sex hormones are good? Like at that point, you're what I call is chasing numbers. You're chasing the number on the panel, and that for that individual might not be a good thing. And I'll explain. The vitamin D receptor is at the mitochondrial membrane. That dictates energy production.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as too much vitamin D, right? Now, for a natural person doing everything naturally, that number of natural vitamin D being made is probably somewhere in the 120s, 130s, something like that. But I mean, that's somebody who spends 14 hours outside every day, basically naked.
Yeah.
Right? But that means that they need to lower electron transport chain because they're spending so much time outside. So the vitamin D receptor being where it's at, when there's a large amount of vitamin D, remember the effect that we talked about? When you get a lot of sunlight, you tend to eat less?
Yes.
Well, that's a vitamin D receptor mediated response. So you might be dosing vitamin D to the point where you're inducing that effect, but you actually might run yourself into an energy deficit unknowingly.
Oh, wow.
Because it's lowering electron transport chain output by just overstimulating the vitamin D receptor.
Yeah.
When you're not actually getting all of that ATP production from sunlight.
Okay.
Right? So the answer is there could be a situation where it works out okay.
Yeah.
General rule of thumb, it probably doesn't work out that way.
Got it.
Right? Because if you were getting enough sunlight to make sex hormones and then somehow you're still wanting to take vitamin D, it'd probably be okay for a month or two.
Yeah.
Right? But long term, probably not. Right? So I tend to either do one of two things. Exploit natural vitamin D production to the maximum of your capabilities during the summer, and then get a test in the fall. And if you didn't make enough vitamin D, and here's a crucial part, you need to get a vitamin D binding protein test, because different mitochondrial haplotypes do different things with vitamin D. For example, an uncoupled haplotype might make a crap ton of vitamin D and sequester it very quickly with the vitamin D binding protein. So your vitamin D number at the end of fall might be 40 or 50, and you're like, man, I was thinking it'd be going to be way higher. I got a lot of sunlight over the summer. Well, maybe your body just sequestered it because your haplotype actually dictates that, hey, winter's coming up. We need to sequester this so that it can be released slowly throughout the winter.
Kind of what happens to me. My vitamin D is actually usually a little bit higher in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
It's boggled my mind. I was like, what?
But probably because you have high vitamin D binding protein, right? So that's what I'm saying. There is never one thing for one system. It's almost always 2 or 3, usually 5 or 6, right? And, all you got to do is look at a graph about all the biological processes, and it looks like a mess, right? And that's because that's why the circadian mechanism exists, because the same switch, sunlight, right? It's the same switch that's been happening for 3.8 billion years, turns on hundreds if not thousands of different track switching mechanisms depending on the wavelength of light that's interacting with you, right? And, to your point, your haplotype, because think of it this way, think of making coffee, right? You can affect the taste of coffee with the same bean by changing the filter. You can also affect it by the speed that it filters through, right? That's your genetics. You're the filter. The coffee bean's the same, the sun.
Yeah.
Right? So the input's always the same. I mean, changes throughout the season, but it's always the same, year after year. But you're the filter, and the filter changes the effect of the end product depending on exactly your unique makeup. right? So he might have higher vitamin D in the summer because in the winter because he got a lot of vitamin D in the summer, but it's not going to show up in his vitamin D test in the summer because he's sequestering it all, waiting to release it in the winter. Versus probably you and me, I have ridiculous vitamin D in the summertime. Mine gets like to 98. And in the winter, it drops pretty significantly. It drops down to the low 70s.
That's still great vitamin D numbers, though.
Right. Yeah. But there's a large 20-point swing, right?
Yeah.
So I know that if I only get my vitamin D to 50, I'm screwed in the winter.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, 50 in the summer is probably ideal, right? Because it's going to climb in the wintertime.
I'm always going to promote people to go outside, go outside, get a walk in, get some sunlight. But what about just people with maybe specific needs or just wanting to try to get more vitamin D? Can a vitamin D lamp be useful? And how could somebody utilize that as a potential strategy?
Yeah, so let's go back to options and things of that nature, right? So you have chromophores on your body. So the electron transport chain is full of chromophores. That's cytochrome 1, cytochrome 2, et cetera. Those all interact with specific wavelengths of light. Excuse me. And then there's melanopsin, rhodopsin, encephalopsin. Those also interact with specific wavelengths of light. And so, and then you have cholesterol and sex hormones and amino acids that turn into neurotransmitters, and they all have a specific absorption spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. And most of them are in the UV range. Some of them are in the blue and green range and red range. Right. And so a UV lamp, say a tanning bed, for example, or a Fiji lamp, it's only UV. Right. And so I will tell you this, never use UV by itself.
Okay.
Right.
You know that a lot of tanning beds have red light now.
Yes, they do. Now that's a step up. Right. If you want to get kind of the pseudo-synthetic best that you can, right? So it's synthetic, it's not sunlight, but it's close enough that it's going to be beneficial and not harmful. You always want to combine UV light with infrared light, right? For multiple aspects, right? So UV light in the UVA range, which is around, go ahead.
Ryan, can you pull up the EMR tech Krypton? But you keep on going.
Yeah. And so the UVA light is specifically in the 380 nanometer range, coupled with infrared light, actually optimizes the stress test for cells. Okay? So UV light makes nitric oxide. We know this. Everybody, heart specialists know this and all of that. Hey, if you want a good, healthy vascular system, you want to work out and you want to, eat nitric oxide positive foods and you want to get some sunlight because it expands your blood vessels, it dilates them and everything. That's what nitric oxide does. So UV light releases nitric oxide. So does cold, right? It makes nitric oxide as well. Now, nitric oxide also has a unique interaction at the electron transport chain. It inhibits oxygen being delivered to the cytochrome 4. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? If oxygen's not there isn't going to be as much pull on the electron transport chain. Right? That's another reason why strong UV light will lower the need for food. Right? Now, that sounds bad. Hey, I'm going to lower electron transport chain with nitric oxide production. But with sunlight, there's infrared light also, and the infrared light's going to interact with the cytochrome 4 as well, and it's going to make more water. And it's also going to interact with the ATPase and make it spin faster. So now you make more ATP. So think of it this way, right? Natural person, natural circumstances, you are out in the middle of the day working on a farm or whatever, you're going to get UV light and it's going to stress test the cell by inhibiting the electron transport chain when there's UV light, but there's still infrared. So you're still going to have energy and make ATP if the cell is working correctly.
Yes.
But you're going to slow down or stall out the electron transport chain. That means, and cardiolipin is at the end of that electron transport chain. The reason why I mentioned cardiolipin is that is on the cytochrome 4, and it's responsible for releasing the emergency signal to the cell that this cell is defective, okay? And when the electron transport chain gets backed up and there's plenty of ATP being made, all is dandy. that cardiolipin stays there. Now, if the cell is faulty, the ATPase gets stuck or slows down. So now not as much ATP.
Yeah.
Now, just like a road crew might come out, just because there was a crash doesn't mean you need to shut down the highway. So they'll put cones up and kind of emergency keep things flowing. Well, what'll happen is if there is infrared light, but the cell is faulty, there still won't be very much ATP because there's something structurally wrong in that membrane.
Yeah.
Right. And so what'll end up happening is the emergency crew, this is called BCL1 proteins, will come in and be like, hey, we need to get this running. And so what it'll do is it will fire up that electron transport chain. But because there was a membrane problem, the electron transport chain will have a burnout, just like a wire in the wall that's faulty.
Yeah.
Right? It'll heat up and burn a little bit. When it does that, it'll do it specifically at cytochrome 4, and that releases that cardiolipin protein. So if the cell is faulty, there's a membrane problem. That means there'll be a burnout. Cytochrome C oxidase goes up, the cardiolipin gets released, it goes to the cell membrane, marks the cell, and now the cell is ubiquinated, it's marked to be recycled or gotten rid of through autophagy and apoptosis later that evening. That's a daily stress test that should happen in mammal biology.
And you need all forms of light.
You need UV and infrared together, right? Specifically 380 nanometer UVA light, and specifically infrared and near infrared light.
And this goes back to what you were mentioning at the beginning of the podcast, why if you just have red and near infrared, might not be bad for you, right? It has its benefits, but it's not the optimal way to receive light.
If you're trying to do it synthetically, right? If you're going out of your way to find lights for your health, you absolutely need UVA light.
And when UVA and UVB, or
the UVB is more optimal, but it's not. What I'm saying is it's not system critical.
Got it. Okay, you need UVA.
Right. UVA is system critical.
Got it.
Infrared is system critical.
Okay.
Right. UVB is a seasonal thing that optimizes fertility and abundance and neurotransmitter go-getterness. Right? In the winter, you're not very go-getter, right?
I have a question for you on that.
That's interesting. So humans might have breeding to some degree, but because we live all over the world,
it's
we
hard
kind
to
of don't have a breeding season like an animal.
But that's a normal thing for most mammals.
Right.
Yeah.
The question about because for example, Nigeria, even in winter, UVB is still lowest UVB is maybe 5, right? So it's like, but here, like in the UK, like you'll get UVB of like 1 or 2 in the winter. So curious about like, because I know some people we know live near the equator, but with that being said, with UVB being present year round, what does that necessarily mean? Like, obviously my ancestors come from a place where UVB is present year round. And I'm now here in a place where UVB is like minimal towards the winter months, right? So with what you just mentioned before, how can that be thought about?
Yeah. So if you're talking about it from a genetic perspective, right? Like how does that affect me as a genetic individual?
Yeah.
Where now I'm missing UVB. Is it costing you something? The answer is it's probably costing you a little bit on the neurotransmitter side, right? Especially because you need more sun to be able to penetrate the darker skin that you have or stimulate it to make those.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to experience more slump,
Which I do.
when the UVB goes away, compared to Mark, who a little bit of light, even if it's not necessarily a lot of UVB.
Now here, born into darkness.
Right. Now here's another thing that people don't understand, right? Okay. The UV index will go down, but it never goes to 0. And because of the environment, right, it's scattered. What does that mean? That means that unbeknownst to most people, you can get tan in the winter and you can get vitamin D production in the winter.
Yeah.
The question is, do you spend enough time out to do it, right? Because it's there. It's just there in very low amounts. It's never UV 0.
Yes.
Like, even though your app, I've seen some apps that say UV 0.
Really?
That is not true.
Damn, that's wild. Yeah.
But there is always UV.
I have a question on that then too. So obviously it's never UV zero. There's always UV and there's always UVB in the midday. But if it's low, like how would it affect somebody like you, Mark, and myself going out in the UVB is 2.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Mark will get the most benefit out of that in terms of he'll function perfectly fine. In fact, he might even get a little bit of a bump because he's probably better at converting biophotons into usable thing when you get cold, right? Because low UVB is translated to also mean cold temperatures.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so you're going to exploit that if your mitochondrial haplotype is more uncoupled. So you're going to make more biophotons.
Got it.
Right there, and if you're living a healthy lifestyle and your body's making good amounts of deuterium depleted water, those biophotons are going to be very cohesive, and so he's going to function perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to suffer a little bit. You're probably going to suffer the most out of us 3 in terms of that production that's tied to UVB specifically.
Yes.
Now, because there's always UVA, and because the biophoton release of UVA doesn't take as much. It's not as powerful light, right? UVA is not as powerful as UVB, and UVB is not as powerful as UVC, right? So UVA doesn't take as much charge in the system to make in terms of biophotons. So us 3, all the repair mechanisms that are related to stress testing the cell, right? Repair means you're going to get rid of stuff that's faulty, and you're going to rebuild, right? That's the UVA. That's why I'm saying it is mission critical. It is system critical.
Yes.
Right? That's going to be the same for all of us.
Okay.
But the UVB part, which is neurotransmitters and all of that, you're going to have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah.
Right? To do that. It's a natural environment for you. Let's just put it that way. Right?
Sure.
That doesn't mean that you can't hack it. Right? And it doesn't mean that you need to relocate. It means that you need to be mindful of that and you need to maybe supplement some UVB light.
That's why I use that.
Yeah, and you need to supplement maybe a little bit more aggressive cold exposure. And aggressive,
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Aggressive doesn't mean longer. Aggressive just means more intense, right? For you, because see, you're coupled, you're more coupled. So you're not going to be good at making a lot of biophotons from cold anyway.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say that you need short, powerful stints, or
Oh man, short, powerful stints in the winter, dog.
yeah. And by short, I mean like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Like pretty short, like very
how
short.
powerful?
It could
are we
be
talking? Meaning how cold?
2 to 4 minutes, just walk outside with your shirt off.
Right. And that's
Is that powerful enough? Or like when we're talking about powerful, we're meaning temperature, right?
Yeah, it's like 50 degrees.
Yeah. So for him specifically, because he has a lot of melanin, right? He's going to be able to deploy a lot of degradation of melanin into dopamine and all these neurotransmitters, right? Those are the UVB range, right? Now, are you going to make sex hormones from that? Probably not, because you're probably not going to be able to sustain a long enough cold period to induce that. Right?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to hack it. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas I have, some genetic variation enough. Like I have genes from Spain and Europe, along with genes from Aztecs and Mexico and stuff like that. So my skin can get really light. I've been way lighter than this.
Yes.
I've been actually pretty white, but I can also get really, really dark. So I have an uncoupled haplotype, and my skin can vary enough that I can get these effects from cold and UVB, right? Whereas he is probably more on the lines of cold probably actually stimulates him, probably wakes him up a little bit, especially done in the morning.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you could even do things that are more to the length of just slow and gradual, like 50 degrees or 58 degrees for longer periods of time.
So like 50 for maybe 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that you want to treat cold, especially when we're talking with somebody who has darker skin type or just is naive to cold, right? You're not cold adapted. You want to start with a stint that lets you warm up within 20 to 30 minutes after you get out of the cold.
I want to give you guys a quick example. I messed around with like doing 20 minutes of cold therapy at 55 or so degrees, and I did that a few times, and like it took me literally like an hour to stop shivering. Like I was shivering, and even when I was inside, I took a warm shower. I was still shivering after that warm shower. I could not get warm.
Yeah, kind of mess yourself up.
That's a max effort. That's what I'm saying. Like, think of it like lifting, right? That's an all out. You went to a meet and you blew your load, right? And now it's going to take you a week to recover from that. Right? That's what you just did. So now, right, you take a note of that, right? Took you 20 minutes at 55 degrees.
Regress.
Right? Exactly. Start at 2 minutes, right? Start at 2 minutes. Get out. Hey, I put my clothes back on. 20 minutes later, I feel fine. Perfect. That's probably the right amount for now. A couple weeks later, add another 2 minutes, right? And by the end of 2 or 3 months, you might get to 20 minutes. You might never get to 20 minutes is what I'm saying, right? I don't know because you're genetically unique, right? I know for me, 20 minutes is kind of my max, right? Like I don't go beyond that in terms of water. Now, in the air, right? If the air temperature outside is 35 degrees, but it's somewhat, as long as it's not windy, I can be outside for literally 7 hours.
Damn.
In my underwear.
Damn.
Yeah.
35 degrees.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
But can you explain the process that, because you're mentioning cold. So is it cold, then get yourself some sunlight or get in front of, why is it that cold can help you stimulate this? What is that? What happens?
Let's talk about that. So the main action is a couple things. It does some physics, right? Water, again, is unique. It's a chameleon, right? When you freeze the water in this thing, it's a glass bottle. What do you think is going to happen if it was full?
If the water was full in the glass bottle?
Yeah, and you froze it. Absolutely. So what did it do? It expanded.
Yes.
So what happens when you...
Okay.
Right? So it does physics. It changes shape and size when the temperature changes.
Pause. So why is it that then when you get into cold water, you feel like things shrink? Like, because so what's going on here that I'm missing?
Because you're going to make biophotons that heat up the water inside of you.
Okay.
Because the opposite happens, right? Like if this gets cold and the water expands, what happens when it gets warm? It shrinks back down.
Yeah.
Your water.
Okay.
You're not frozen water.
Yeah.
And when you get cold, the body's going to react because you're a warm-blooded mammal in making biophotons that heat you up. So you're going to start heating things up and you're going to start making things act, because of water. That's what I'm saying. Water is a chameleon. It does things in the body that makes certain physics happen that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And so it's going to help you in those ways of making biophotons and making your own internal infrared and UV light. Now, this is special.
Your own internal light, you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's called biophotons. You can look that up. This is a measurable thing with biophoton emitters. In fact, big companies do this to distinguish organic produce from inorganic produce. Biophotons are released by everything.
People think that there's like hidden messages from our past of people talking about like a light shining within you, or people talking about a yoga type stuff where they mention things like that. But they think that they've like kind of known these things like almost
intuitively or
intuitively, for centuries.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it, right? That's kind of how most of these things go, right? And then science advances enough, and the equipment gets sensitive enough that you can actually pick up some of these things, like the whole, turning lead into gold thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, point being is that biophotons from living organisms are in the UV range.
Okay.
Right. They're in the UVC range. Neurotransmitters. Why do you again, this has been studied. Cold exposure releases dopamine, noradrenaline, adrenaline, all of those things.
Yep.
Those are all related to the UVC and UVB range.
Okay.
Right. And so, in relationship to you and UV light and stuff like that, it just means that because you're not from a cold environment, genetically speaking, you just have a harder time making it from cold. It doesn't mean you can't. That's how the haplotype began to happen anyway, right?
Yeah.
People, again, I'm going off of what we think we know, which is we moved out of Africa and colonized the rest of the planet. Well, that means that black people moved around and turned into white people. That's what it means, right? Like that's.
I ain't gonna say it.
But anyway, right? Like if you want to, if you don't,
you can say it.
Go ahead
Don't
and
say it. Don't say it. I'm joking. Don't say it.
I love that clip. No, you can say it. Go ahead. Man, I love that clip. That's so good. Yeah, no, you're allowed to say it.
Go ahead. Say it.
Oh,
Go
man,
ahead.
that's good. That's some good stuff.
So point being is because it's a mitochondrial thing, remember what I said, mitochondria genes change all the time because it's the environmental sensor, right? So it's actively looking for what comes next. It's trying to predict the future from what's happening right now. So could you make yourself slightly more uncoupled? Probably. Is it going to be to the same extent as somebody who already is born into this world? No, but you can make it towards your favor.
Yeah.
Right. Going back to the glasses thing, right? Incrementally over time, that's going to change and it's going to save you some effort in terms of those types of things. Right. And so, so again, I don't do excellently in the winter, but I can survive it pretty well to the point where I can spend pretty much all day outside as long as it's not super windy, even at 30 or 20 degree weather. Like I have a desk just like this where I have my laptop and my screen set up. And if it's not windy and remotely, okay, as far as sun, right? Like I'm not going to go outside when it's raining or snowing, right? In the winter. But if it's not looking like that's going to happen, I'll go outside and work until I get too cold, right? And for me, that usually at 30 degrees or so, that's usually around 3 or 4 hours.
Gotcha.
Right. And by that time I walk back inside the house and I'll take a warm shower and I feel fine. Right. But can I do that at the beginning in November of winter? No, I can't. I have to work my way up to that. Right. Now, I start way earlier in October and September, right, in the cool mornings. So for the most part, it's a smooth transition. This year I had a little hiccup because I took a month-long vacation in November to Costa Rica, and then I came back right at the end of November. So it took me about a week to adapt, right? So the maximum amount I could do in the mornings at the end of November was about an hour and a half, right? 90 minutes or so. But after a week, that was quickly 3 or 4 hours.
Obviously going to depend on a lot of different things between individuals, but do you think like going out and, maybe just going on a walk when the temperature's around 50 degrees is like enough, or is that not cold enough?
No, yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's what I deal with.
So even for him, like if you just go outside and go for a little bit of a walk for, I don't know, 10 minutes.
And do it with a t-shirt, right? Do it with a t-shirt and shorts.
And you just have a chill, basically, like a little, you're a little cold and it makes you walk faster, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? You're a little cold, you walk faster, you're going to be a little bit...
a little uncomfortable, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, the thing that you'll notice is your extremities will get pretty cold, but your core is going to stay warm, right? And then when you walk back inside, you'll naturally redistribute all that cold and warm blood through your, cardiovascular system. And it acts like a extended cooling effect, even though you're inside for a little while. That's a perfect time to come back in and maybe hit a small aerobic workout or something like that, right? Or, my favorite thing to do is I actually do my aerobic work outside in the morning, first thing.
See if you can pull up some clips of that. He's outside in like negative 10 degree weather.
I'm not sure if I've posted anything recently about it, but yeah, I mean, I irrelevant of the weather, even if it's snowing, I'll go outside for the 20 minutes. And I'll jump on my elliptical, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing aerobic work and I'm doing my cold exposure and daylight exposure all at the same time, all together, right?
Quick question. I think I may have heard this from Mark, but what is it that happens? Like, let's say I do cold exposure and I don't go immediately outside, but I try to get sunlight right after that cold exposure. Do I have any different type of interaction with that sunlight because of the cold or no?
Yes.
What is that?
So it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change the density of the water that you're in, right? Because of the effect that, you got cold. Now there's going to be heat being produced from you and everything. And so that's going to amplify water production because infrared light amplifies water production. And water is a red light chromophore, right? That's why the Caribbean looks green and blue, is because it absorbs all red.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now you induced cold and you're going to go outside and get some sunlight. Well, now you're going to exponentially absorb more red light from that sun.
So, like, quick, don't forget what you were just going on. But like, sunlight. What about your interaction if you have a device?
You'll absorb more.
Okay.
Right. So a hack, right, is you know, if these were red lights and you had a tub right here, a cold plunge, you could add UV and infrared, and now you're going to get more out of those lights.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a way to enhance that. Now, if it was sunlight, that's the kahuna, right? Because now think of it this way. Remember what I said: the regeneration program and generation program and stress test for the body happens with UV and infrared. If you were to go outside and get cold and it's sunny, right? So there will be clips of me or whatever. In fact, if you go on X, on X and find David Herrera, just do a search for that. I think you'll find me in my setup, right? My computer setup. But anyway, when it's sunny outside and it's cold, that's the holy grail for regeneration, because now you're making UV light internally and getting it externally.
Yeah.
You're getting it from both sides. You're going to get infrared and UV from both sides, right? So again, now taking that to a synthetic setup and stuff like that, you can start to exploit that. Is it as good? And the answer is no, but it becomes way better than not doing anything. And see right there. Yep.
And oftentimes when you're doing your cardio outside too, or every time you're doing your cardio, you're also nasal breathing. So you're really doubling and tripling down on these, on the ability for your body to get the nitric oxide, because you're getting the sunlight and you're doing your nasal breathing while you're exercising, right?
Yeah.
And then cold.
Yeah. This is actually a month ago, right at the beginning of December.
Right.
And it was 32 degrees outside.
Shit.
Right.
Jeez, man.
And sunny, right? And I'm at 7,000 feet. So that's the thing, right? Like UV, right? You mentioned about UV.
Elevation changes things,
elevation change. So I am for sure getting UVA and a little bit of UVB there. Plus I'm making biophotons and inducing this cold effect. For that day, I was out all day, 7 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I just want to go back to the EMR Tech light just for a moment. So that's fairly ideal. It has different nanometers of red light. And then it also has some UVB with it as well, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then you showed me a couple websites, and I want to ask you some questions about this. There was one website that had some stuff about white light, and there was a website where you can hook to like screens. You can hook other lights to it.
That might have been Chroma.
It might have been that, yeah. And it seemed like, to me, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
This makes a lot of sense, because
Chroma
you have the
light.
daylight computer, and that's a great device. It doesn't have any blue light, so that solves a lot of problems. But for other people that might
By the way, this device, the next version, is going to come with infrared and UV
oh, that's sick.
in the device itself.
So there's some of these other lights that I saw that you could hook to like a screen. And it seemed like, and I don't know what the idea was, but it seemed like the idea was, I think those are it right there. It seemed like the idea was to, the ones that are circular, Ryan, it seemed like the idea was to mitigate some of the blue light that you were getting. So because as you mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, like one of the issues here with us getting blue light, we know we can go outside and there's blue light from the sun, but there's many spectrums of light. And so therefore the blue light's not as harmful.
Correct.
But even in this case, if we had some red light in here, would that
It would be better.
it would be better. And it's not necessarily the most optimal thing in the world, but it would still be better.
It would be
right?
better. Yeah. Just like the sky portals and stuff like that. And the other thing, right? We talked about wavelengths, and there's a lot of talk about wavelengths and stuff like that, and how they're beneficial internally in the body. But then
Those seem cool, man.
But
Those seem neat.
but then there is also intensity, right? That also wakes up the nervous system, makes you feel very, very awake, and that's lumens, right? So, sky portals or SAD lamps, they do have some value in terms of waking up the nervous system. But if they're not the right wavelength, you're not activating these deeper pathways that we just spent, all this time talking about. But that's also a missing thing, right? So quickly, in the synthetic, I want to hack my environment type of talk, you quickly end up in this thing where you have all these different colored lights right? And you don't turn on any LEDs, and you essentially, it looks kind of like this, right? Where you have all these, say these were all special lights, but they're the only lights that are on, and it's actually kind of dark in here, right? And so now you end up in this state where if you turn on the TV at night, it actually wakes you up even more. Because the intensity wasn't appropriate for daylight, right? It's a missing thing in this biohacking world where, yes, there's all this good stuff. And yes, you probably did all these chromophore activations and neurotransmitter stuff making. But then there's the simple fact of the sun is so bright that the brightness itself does stuff as well, right? Because 30 billion years of evolution has figured out how to exploit every physical aspect of the environment, including the brightness. So a missing link for a lot of these is kind of what this Chroma people, they've actually kind of gone a long way. They're little brick devices, the iron.
So I
ore.
bought that brick device
Which
for my
one?
wife for Christmas.
The Trinity?
Yeah, the Trinity, and you can just basically rub it on yourself, and it's like a tanning thing. Like not just tanning, but it has multiple spectrums of light.
Yeah, they've gone it out of their way to study and consult with Jack Cruz, and they are specifically activating all the opsin receptors in the body with the different wavelengths.
So they're trying to pretty much put a mini sun on you.
Correct. And because they know about the intensity and all of that, they're like, screw it's going to be way, way too expensive to make a body panel.
Yeah.
So we're just going to give you this handheld thing where you can put it exactly where you need it with the intensity that you want.
And I could travel with that.
You can travel with that. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. The package it has some unique. You're already hacking things, right? It's already not optimal.
Yeah, it's not
right?
optimal. But
So you might as well make it optimal for other things.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I do like the form factor. At first, it seems like, oh, why did they make it so tiny? But then it's like, oh, you know what? That's actually kind of an advantage.
yeah.
I do believe they sell something that you can hang it up on too. I didn't.
They can,
purchase
right?
that,
But
but you can have it stationary. You can move your body around it if you wanted to.
yeah, if you wanted to, or
It works really well. I used it before.
Yeah, and anyway, but they also have the sky lamps, right? So they understand this brightness thing as well, right? That's why they also sell it. They're like, hey, if you're using the Trinity or one of our brick products and stuff like that, you're probably a biohacker and you're probably indoors and you probably have dim lighting because you don't want all this other stuff interacting with you. Well, here's a sky portal that's also infrared so that you can mitigate, you can turn it red when it gets dark outside so that it doesn't affect your melatonin production. But during the day, you can brighten things up really, really bright at your workstation and it's not nearly as harmful.
What's the sky portal do? Like, is it something you reflect off the wall or
No,
something? Or is it just a normal light?
It's just a normal light, right? And
Okay.
they sell a mini one and basically it's just really bright.
Okay.
It's really bright, but it has infrared embedded into it.
I see.
You see what I mean? So they're going on the concept of it's not just about the wavelength; it's also about how bright things are.
So if I'm sitting on sitting down watching TV, I have that on kind of off in the distance a little bit.
Of red
It's
only.
going to give me some assistance to not mess up my.
Yeah, or you have some blue light blocking glasses or stuff.
Right,
but the main thing of the sky portal and the mini sky portal is during the day. You're stuck in an office, especially some offices don't have windows.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you really need something really bright because there's no way that you're going to be able to get enough light in there to make it 10,000 lumens.
So I want you to kind of explain this intensity aspect because earlier I feel like it can be easy to get confused. We're talking about, too much of this blue light while indoors, you want to block it. Wait, you also want something super bright. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, you're trying to replicate the day.
Okay.
It's really that simple
So how's this not replicating the day then?
because it's not nearly as like I have a lux meter.
Yeah.
Right. On a cloudy day,
Uh-huh.
it's like 10,000 lumens.
Gotcha.
At best right now, it's maybe 500.
Now, another question then. We're using red light glasses because we want to mitigate the blue light from this. Something like that, higher brightness, if you were indoors, would you still have this on while that's...
No, because they have gone out of their way to embed infrared.
so it's brighter and you wouldn't need these on. That's so sick.
So like
Just like if I walked outside,
yeah.
I would
you just
take these
these off. Okay.
So someone should make a TV that has red light on it.
Oh, they'll never. The best chance you stand is this company right
I think
here.
I did see a company
He's
that
talking about the
made
daylight computer guys.
Yeah, these, by the way, are going to eventually, if they get enough, right? So this is for the listeners, right? What drives innovation? What drives innovation? Consumer buying the product.
Buy a daylight computer.
Yes, because if they get enough money,
they're going to make phones and everything.
correct.
And I will buy those too.
And guess what else they're going to do? A monitor.
Oh.
So now
My health.
you just replaced your TV with a big ass monitor that has infrared and UV. Now, is it going to be the theater movie watching thing? No, but I mean, when you want to do that, I guess you can do that every now and then, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you just want to binge watch your show at night,
Me and my girl watch Desperate Housewives.
right? Like you get. I know that you've used this to watch a YouTube video or two,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of cool to watch. Like, is it super crazy? Like, if you need detail of the colors and stuff, it's not going to be that great. But at the same time, the new ones, right? The monitors, they're going to come with UV and infrared. They're going to be able to mix and make more color friendly screens, but they're not going to be blue light latent, and it's going to be bigger. It's going to be a monitor. Now you just hook up your normal computer to it. And now becomes your TV.
So I saw somebody took red lights that were a little bit Christmassy looking, as if they were, like when people, wrap around their Christmas tree or the lights that you see outside, and they wrapped it around their TV. And I was like, that's pretty cool. But it wasn't, it wasn't super bright, but I do think it was a company that had red light. I was like, interesting.
Yeah, I think you would need more than that to undo,
Yeah.
because TVs are actually really, really bright.
Yeah.
They are really bright.
Is that one of the issues with them? Like, and can you turn down the brightness, or is that not?
You can, right? But who does?
Right.
It's real. It's real.
Right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like the lux thing is really what drives the lux and the blue light thing, right? TVs drive sleep deprivation, because you turn on the TV at night and that's the brightest part of your day.
Go outside and just walk in your neighborhood and just see everybody's house just lit up.
You will. You will.
There's a
You
lot of
will.
blue light
You
going
will.
My house will look evil though, because in the evening my house is just red coming
is
from
a
all
lot of
the windows.
Same as mine.
what's going on?
Same as mine. Literally, all the windows are emitting red light from my house. And then there, again, I have little kids and stuff. We'll watch a show in the evening and whatever. But there's a red light panel literally shining in the room. The whole thing is lit up, and the brightness on the TV is turned all the way down. Now, the moment there's a way to mitigate the blue light at the screen level, right, with a monitor or something like that, I'll definitely do that. Here's another concept, right? Now, this one is, you guys probably saw, the monitor that I was working on out there. That's a solar lit monitor. So in other words, there's no backlight on it, and the sun penetrates through, and my monitor is full color, and the brighter the sun, the brighter the monitor.
What the hell is it? Did you make this?
No.
Or you
Somebody
got-
out of Mexico made it for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Is it
Like
any of
the
the
only one in the world?
It is.
Oh.
No, not that. I don't have the only one in the world.
Oh, okay.
But he does have a website, but it's he hand makes them,
Oh, wow.
and he's the only one that I know that makes them.
Well, how do we find this guy? What, has he got a website or something?
Yeah, he's got a website. I think it's called Solar Lit.
Yeah, might as well plug it.
Solarlit.com. Yeah, he'll love that. He only takes Bitcoin and silver.
Smart.
Of course. Well, of course.
Of course. He is.
Just saying, like if you go to the website and you think you're going to pay with the credit card, you're going to be frowning.
Last thing we should finish with is, I guess, maybe just diving into darkness and the importance of
Yes.
that. Just give us a little information on darkness and how we can kind of calm down at the end of the day.
So, the first thing is you must interact with UV and infrared during the day at some level, whether that's with cold or whether that's with everything that we've talked about, right? All those strategies. And the reason why we hammered on that is because it makes the nighttime stuff super, super simple, right? Because melatonin gets made during the day and it gets released into the brain when blue light goes away, right? So something as simple as this, and as simple as the things that we just barely started talking about, making Number one, right? The architecture of the eye is very sensitive to light from above in the blue range. So even if you have, lights that aren't red, if you just take them from above and put them down below, you've immediately changed the level of intensity that can interact with your brain, because there are more receptors on the bottom of the eye that are sensitive to blue light than on the top of the eye.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So just the act of lowering the light from above and bringing it down below, AKA lamps, is a dang good hack. Advance that hack. How do you advance it? You change it from blue
Wait, pause. I think my brain just like, went what? Because I thought you said you have more receptors on the bottom. So if you have a blue light on in the evening, wouldn't you then not want it to be down here?
No, it's on your eye is a circle. It's a sphere.
Uh-huh.
Right? So if you have more receptors on the eye, and so it's a sphere, let's put it this way.
Beaming down.
Yeah, give me your tennis ball, right? So look at it this way. You have an opening on the eye,
Yes.
right? It's sitting right here, like this. It's a sphere. On the bottom of the sphere is all the receptors.
Yeah.
The light is coming in through this narrow opening. If it's coming from below, it's going to go through that opening. Where is it going to hit? It's going to hit the top of the eye.
Okay.
If it's coming from above,
It's going to hit the bottom of the eye. So if you have blue light on the evening, it's best that it's
below.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Or you can't do red, right? So that's another, again.
What if your blue light that you have is just not very bright? Because something that I do, and I have a bunch of different special lights and stuff too, but something I do with some of the lights that I haven't replaced in my home is I just use lights that are just in like a different room to light up. Like in my pantry, I can turn that light on. It lights up the kitchen perfectly where I could see everything in there, but I'm not getting like blasted by the blue light.
Yeah.
I'm not in the same room as the blue light. It's not cascading downward upon me. It's just illuminating.
Oh, it's definitely helpful, because remember what I said about opsins and melanopsin and all of that. It's not just in your eyes. It's in your skin. It's in your nails. It's in your hair. It's everywhere, right? So yes, that is a mitigation strategy, right? Does it make it zero? No.
Right.
Does it help? Yes. Right. So those are all things to think about, right? Or, again, I built my house, right? So this is exactly how I've done this. My house has embedded red in counters and under tables and stuff like that, and then immediately I have can lights everywhere. So they're all incandescent bulbs or infrared. So when I
send us some videos of this.
Yeah, I think there is one on my
YouTube.
no, it's on my X account probably. Yeah. I think Soul something. Anyway, the same person that reposted my thing out there, they've reposted my home video and stuff like that. But it's like a 20-minute video and stuff like that. But either way, what I'm saying is this. I've made it really easy so that when it becomes nighttime, I just turn off my lights at the light switches, and it turns off all the overhead lights. But all my red lights have lamps, right? So I have red lights and orange or incandescent bulbs in all my lamps. And I have lamps in all my rooms, the living room, the bedrooms, etc. And so immediately, right, after dinner, all my overhead lighting goes off. I turn on all the lamps. You can still walk through my house perfectly fine without stumbling. You can find everything just fine because it's a combination of incandescent and red bulbs, right? So you can still get good color rendering. You can see what you're doing, but they're all incandescent orange tinted bulbs and red. And so it immediately starts helping you calm down, starting that melatonin release. This is part of the dark cycle, right? This happens, right? Under natural circumstances, everybody would start gathering for dinner time around a fire, right? Where's the fire located? Down below, right? And so now you're not affecting the brightness receptors from above and all of that type of stuff. And if you've ever gone camping, you start yawning and getting tired immediately once you're sitting around the fire. 20, 30, 40 minutes in, you're like, man, I'm going to bed, right? That's the effect you're looking for. And then when that clicks, hey, I'm kind of tired, you just turn things off and you go to bed, right? It might be 9 o'clock at night, right? And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to work in the winter. In the summer, it's going to be 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night because the sun didn't go down until 9 o'clock. Right? But in the wintertime, the sun went down at 5. And so if you induce that effect, it's going to help you sleep more deeply. It's going to, and that's very important, right? The melatonin release is part of that circadian mechanism for nighttime, right? And if it never happens, that means sleep architecture right from the get-go is not going to happen correctly. Sleep architecture in terms of how you relax and how you go into, light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep, those aren't going to start properly. And they might not even get into it, right? And now here, going back to tying it into this other episode, right? When I say light, you brought up the electromagnetic spectrum at the beginning, right? Yeah. And you saw on there microwaves, gamma waves, radio waves, those are all light that you can't see, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I had for example, infrared light, you can't see it, but certain cameras on phones can.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a light that your eye can't register, but other eyes in the animal kingdom can, right? Some animals can see UV.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's all I'm saying is when I say you want to make it as dark as possible at night, I'm referring to all of the electromagnetic field spectrum. Right. So this goes into the next section. Right. It becomes easy because you're going to be going to sleep. Right. What are you going to do? Nothing, hopefully. Right. So you should turn off as many devices in your bedroom as possible. Remember what I said about the bedroom. The bedroom should be a sanctuary of low electromagnetic fields. And what I'm really saying, another way to say that is there should be zero light in there, right? You want to make it as dark as possible. And dark doesn't just mean the light you can see. It means the light that interacts with biology that's coming from all sources, right? So a simple hack is, the light you can see is the hack that I just described, right? Yeah. Basically, lights from above go down below, make them more orange, make them more red, use lamps, etc. And then when you go into the bedroom, right, because you got tired now and you're getting a little groggy, you go into the bedroom and, that's going to be pretty rhythmic, right? Because the sun goes, you got home at the same time, you watch TV at the same time, and then you get in bed at the same time. You should have a little timer hooked up to your Wi-Fi router and hooked up to your electronic devices inside your bedroom that you're not going to be using to turn off when you go to bed.
Yeah. And
then they automatically turn back on when you wake up in the morning, right? It could even, right, and there's a company out there called Live EMF Safe, right, and I'm associated with them, for people that are sick and things of that nature or fighting some kind of illness and stuff like that. They even have the ability to put airplane mode on your bedroom at the breaker.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So you can have a little remote next to your bed and you can push the button and immediately turns off the power to that room. Right? You might need an electrician for your specific setup, right? Your specific home.
Yeah.
I built mine.
What about my fan?
Just use a DC fan, right? A battery powered fan. You solve that issue, right? We didn't talk about that, right? I'm glad that you brought that up. DC electricity does not interfere with biology because you are a DC electrical being. DC is direct current. AC is oscillating current. What does that mean? It oscillates. That's actually one of the main harmful effects because of the frequency that it oscillates with. Some of it directly affects, for example, the electrical grid in Europe oscillates at 50 hertz. That's a resonant frequency to the mitochondrial crista. So they resonate at 100 hertz and 50 is a resonator to that. And so what that means is that electrical grid over there messes with mitochondria much harder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because now direct current doesn't have an oscillation.
Yeah.
It's direct, right? And so if you have a fan or you need a noise or something, just get one that's battery powered. Have it charged during the day and at night you just turn it on, right? And it could be a noise machine or it could be an actual fan, but just make one that's battery powered, right? Or pick one up that's battery powered. It's a simple fix. Again, when we started this whole talk in the previous episode, right? Everybody's like, electromagnetic fields are everywhere and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you just got to think a little bit. And you can really get pretty damn close to zero. You just got to be crafty.
When it comes to the fridge, have you hacked your fridge at all yet? Or is your fridge just regular white light?
Vinyl. Red vinyl. Just sticky vinyl, just put it over the light.
On the light. Okay.
In fact, that's a hack. That's a travel hack.
Yeah.
I will never go to a doctor ever again about my general health. All they want to do is put you on pills.
Really well said there by Dana White. Couldn't agree with him more. A lot of us are just trying to get jacked and tan. A lot of us just want to look good, feel good. And a lot of the symptoms that we might acquire as we get older, some of the things that we might have, high cholesterol or these various things, it's amazing to have somebody looking at your blood work as you're going through the process, as you're trying to become a better athlete, somebody that knows what they're doing. They can look at your cholesterol. They can look at the various markers that you have, and they can kind of see where you're at, and they can help guide you through that.
And there's a few aspects too where it's like, yes, I mean, no shade to doctors, but a lot of times they do want to just stick you on medication. A lot of times there is supplementation that can help with this. At Marek Health, these patient care coordinators are going to also look at the way you're living your lifestyle, because there's a lot of things you might be doing that if you just adjust that, boom, you could be at the right levels, including working with your testosterone.
And there's so many people that I know that are looking for, they're like, hey, should I do that? They're very curious. And they think that testosterone is going to all of a sudden kind of turn them into the Hulk. But that's not really what happens. It can be something that can be really great for your health, because you can just basically live your life a little stronger, just like you were maybe in your 20s and 30s.
And this is the last thing to keep in mind, guys. When you get your blood work done at a hospital, they're just looking at like these minimum levels. At Marek Health, they try to bring you up to ideal levels for everything you're working with. Whereas if you go into a hospital and you have 300 nanograms per deciliter of test, you're good, bro, even though you're probably feeling like shit. At Marek Health, they're going to try to figure out what things you can do in terms of your lifestyle. And if you're a candidate, potentially TRT. So these are things to pay attention to get you to your best self.
And what I love about it is a little bit of the back and forth that you get with the patient care coordinator. They're dissecting your blood work. It's not like you just get this email back and it's just like, hey, try these 5 things. Somebody's actually on the phone with you, going over every step and what you should do. Sometimes it's supplementation, sometimes it's TRT, and sometimes it's simply just some lifestyle habit changes.
All right, guys, if you want to get your blood work checked and also get professional help from people who are going to be able to get you towards your best levels, head to MarekHealth.com and use code POWERPROJECT for 10% off any panel of your choice.
I bring a roll of red vinyl with me. That way I don't have to bring my red light devices with me.
Yeah.
Like I still bring my red light box, my little travel one, right? Like the Iron Forge is about that size for me and Martek. But
I've seen videos of that before. Yeah, people putting it on their fridge. Yeah, lights in the fridge.
Yeah. And so but you know, I'm not going to travel with all my incandescent light bulbs and all, you know what I'm saying, to put in the lamps and whatever. So all I do is I just scout for Airbnbs that have a lot of lamps.
Okay.
And then I go in there and I take the LED light bulb out and I wrap it with the red vinyl and I put it back in.
Oh, it won't get
It's LED.
At all?
It's LED.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like use the technology to your advantage.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you start thinking on these lines, you can come up with solutions. You just got to think, right? And this goes back to dopamine fluxing, right? If you are a good dopamine fluxer, you can come up with answers for anything.
Yeah.
Right? Because biology works that way. It's come up with answers for 3.8 billion years for just about every situation imaginable, right? It's because of dopamine, because dopamine is an ancient thing, right? These neurons that we're talking about, right? Yes, they do really fancy things in advanced organisms, but it's the reason we advanced.
Yeah.
Right? Because you become more crafty. If you're good at dopamine fluxing, if you're good at regenerating your body and getting UV light and infrared, you can quickly come up with solutions for problems, no matter what the problem is.
Yeah.
Why do you travel with methylene blue?
So the way that I use methylene blue specifically is, number one, it interacts with the cytochrome 4. So that means that whenever I do land, wherever I'm going to land, I can quickly regenerate water production, because it's going to extend the ability to make water production from red light, right? So if I land somewhere, I'm quickly either going to get cold or going to get sunlight, or depending on where I land.
You just got kind of dehydrated, so to speak, from the plane.
Right. You did. It's a known thing, right? So I do drink a lot of water, or you travel with one of these. You can literally walk through the airport with one of these. You know that?
Yeah, you can say it's like medical or something.
You can say it's medical water.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm not joking. You can walk right to the TSA.
Or even in your thing, I think as long as you say it's, medical.
Yeah, I just go with this. That way that they look at it, they're like, oh, that looks really fancy. Or
Right.
And they're like, oh, that must be, right? And then,
I'm going to die without it.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. If this is a plastic bottle, you can now freeze it. It's no longer a liquid. Now it's not restricted.
Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Very cool.
So now you can load up 4 or 5 of these in your backpack if you have a long flight, like a overseas flight or something like that, of plastic bottles, and then they're frozen. You're going to go right through TSA. You can pack 4 or 5 liters of it.
Nice hack.
Yeah, it is a really nice hack. So anyway, methylene blue, right? You take it on the plane. It's
Take it on the plane too?
I mean, I just in a little while, yeah, you can take it on the plane. For a really long flight, yeah, you can take it on the plane and redose.
Okay.
Right? But what I'm saying is methylene blue, before and after. So I start taking my methylene blue the night before.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. The reason is I want it already in my body so that when I wake up that morning, I'm either going to get cold exposure or I'm going to get sunlight, or I'm going to, have my red light therapy. I'm going to induce an extra hydration effect synthetically, an augmentation, right? Then I'm going to hydrate well. I'm going to get on the plane. And then when I land, I can do the same procedure again to rehydrate back up.
Yeah.
Now, if I happen to have deuterium depleted water, I will go out of my way to take that with me on the plane and drink it on the plane and stay really well hydrated. And then my deficit isn't nearly as big. The other thing that methylene blue does is it donates electrons to the electron transport chain. So as long as I've gotten some red light therapy or some cold exposure beforehand, it's going to make it so that I can function well acutely. I can do work on the plane. That's a popular thing to do, right? And so methylene blue helps you with that. It's kind of like it's kind of like an oxygen chamber a little bit in terms of more oxygen means more electrons being pulled.
Yeah.
In this case, you're just donating them freely from the methylene blue, right? Without the oxygen.
Gotcha.
Right. And so now, is it for everybody? If, again, this is not for everybody to take. I'm going to disclose this right now. If you are on any MAOI inhibitor, so mainly
Like SSRIs and stuff.
SSRIs, yep. SSRIs, Wellbutrin is the most popular one, right? But if you are on an SSRI, you should not take methylene blue. You can make too much serotonin because these are serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Yes.
And you can make too much of that if you're taking methylene blue. So again, that's up to you guys, listeners, whatever, do your own thing. But yes, this is a medication. It's not really regulated. You can get it on Amazon, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use transcriptions.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, again, most people can use it, but if you are that's what I'm saying. Like the epidemic of people on SSRIs is large. So that's what I'm saying. Like, careful, right? Like, so don't just be like, oh, that was good for me, I'm going to take it, right? If you're on an SSRI, do not do that. But there is that, and that's why I use it. So I use it mainly for airplane travel is what I use it for. But I've used it for cognitive enhancement. That's kind of what the TROS scripts, that's kind of what they pitch and stuff like that, right? Especially when you combine it with a little bit of caffeine or nicotine. And so there are multiple ways to use it, but that's how I use it because I don't really need it for these other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Mark, do you really ask something else about that?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question for Mark's people now. Bryan Johnson, the guy who's like, don't die, he is pale, very pale. When he speaks about the sunlight in general, he tells people to be careful because, if you're trying to reverse your age, you don't want the skin damage. You don't want the sunburn. So he's very, very careful with midday light, that UVB light. What would you tell people? How would you tell people to interpret some of that information that he's putting out about the sun? And then secondly, if somebody is finding like, damn, I can't go out without getting sunburned and they use sunscreen, what are things to think about? That was a 3-part question. Bryan Johnson and avoiding light because of skin damage, always getting sunburned, and then the need of using sunscreen.
Okay. So I'm going to attack this all cohesively.
Okay.
All right. So I'm not going to answer all of it individually.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be.
Perfect.
Okay. So number 1, skin damage, sunburn, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And sunscreen induces those effects because it's essentially like putting a cast on your arm and then you take it off randomly and you try to do bicep curls with it. You're going to hurt yourself, right? It's going to atrophy.
So if you're someone who uses sunscreen all the time, and then one day you're like, you know what, I want to try to get some sun.
Yeah, you need to be cautious.
Yeah.
You need to go through therapy, physical therapy, right? And that physical therapy starts probably with what I would start is this, going back to photo aging and stuff like that. I would start, number one, at the biological or biochemical level, right? So DHA, right? DHA is not used for fuel. It's a fat, it's an omega-3, but it is used to be incorporated into cell membranes. So all cells have a membrane, and DHA is saved exclusively for the part of making parts of that cell membrane. It's very electrically conductive, has a lot of, so it makes cell membranes more conductive. Everything is touching everything in your body.
Yeah.
So if it's more conductive, you improve communication, right? And because you improve communication, now the skin can tell the brain wirelessly that there is sun out and you should upregulate all of the prehab that comes with that. Now, here's the other thing. Everybody's kind of familiar with like cast iron, cooking equipment and stuff like that. You have to season it, right? And if you season it properly, that becomes an incredibly great device to use, right?
Yeah.
But if you clean it or if you use the wrong oil, you just smoke and make nastiness when you're trying to season it. Well, that is exactly what's going on with linoleic acid versus omega-3s. Linoleic acid, think of it like a low smoke point oil.
So seed oils.
Yeah. But again, I'm being specific because some seed oils are totally fine.
Okay.
Others are not. It's the linoleic acid content.
Got it.
Right? And you can just Google this. Hey, if I'm eating what oil X, right? Whatever that is. For example, palm oil, you look at the linoleic acid of that, it's less than 10%. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If you look at sunflower oil, it's like 70%. Or soybean oil, same thing. Right? So it's linoleic acid specifically. Okay. So now going back to the whole sunscreen thing and all of that, right? If you have an omega-3 index greater than 8%, which is actually ideal, you can just get a finger prick test and test this, right? Then you have lots of cell membranes with lots of DHA. That means you're very electrically conductive. What does that also mean? Going back to the grounding thing and all of that from the previous episode, it makes you a very good antenna. So now you don't get sunburned. You actually dissipate and assimilate more of that solar energy. The other thing is if by some reason you get too much, right? Like even me, right? Like if I went from right now and took a plane flight to El Salvador, that first day I might get sunburned. I might get sunburned. Maybe not if I remain grounded all day, right? But if my omega-3 is nice and high, even when I get a little bit burned, those omega-3s turn into a patina, right? Now, there's a scientific term for this. This is dihexanoic acid turn into docosanoids when it is interacted with by UV light. So basically think of it this way. DHA is this long chain of fatty acids. When UV light hits it, it gets cut in specific places. And those separate chunks are docosanoids. Docosanoids are protective to all membranes,
Okay.
including your eyes
Yes.
and your skin. So if you have a nice high DHA content in your diet, then even if you get burned, it's not even a big deal because you're forming the patina. You're forming the initial starting point of where you need to be.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 days later, you're not burned anymore. You recovered incredibly quickly because what else is happening with DHA? It's anti-inflammatory. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where you need to start if you want to avoid sunburn and you use a lot of sunscreen. You need to be excellent about your DHA content in your diet.
Yes.
The next thing is you need to incrementally start at the part of the day where you're not going to damage yourself. That's why morning solar exposure is the mecca. It's the thing that needs to happen for everyone, for all and somebody who's seasoned that's not, avoiding the sun, to somebody who's just starting out. That's the place to start and end. Right. And then as you get more adapted, you can expose yourself 5 minutes at a time in the middle of the day, 10 minutes at a time. And basically you're just trying to get right to the form of you're getting pink, right? Think of it like this patina forming, right? You get pink, that means that the docosanoids have been interacted enough that they're starting to get a little bit of damage, but nothing's burned you yet. And then the next week, you can add another 5 minutes, another 10 minutes, et cetera. Now, let's talk about the photo aging thing that Bryan Johnson is trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Right? Because he never, right? So think of it this way. Let's go back to the very beginning of this episode where I was talking about nitric oxide formed by UV light inhibits the electron transport chain, but because there's infrared, the ATPase keeps spinning. So that means that the stress test for the cell for him is never happening.
Okay.
Right? Now, this is what I'm going to say, right? That means that if he can manage total stress on his body, which he's spending millions of dollars doing, he's probably going to live quite a while without problems. He won't keep that up forever, right? I don't know how long he's actually been doing it, but maybe a decade by now. Probably not, actually.
Not a decade, but close to it, I think.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. He's kind of getting there, right?
yeah.
He's on the tail end of a decade, right? He's not going to make it to 2 before something happens, because all cells eventually have a life cycle. They will fail. Now, he's doing a lot of really, he's doing plasma integration from his sun. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's technically kind of pseudo doing this cellular repair autophagy thing, but he's doing it chemically and through procedures. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He's got a long runway, but he's spending a lot of damn money to do it.
But you can just go outside and get it from the sun.
Right. But going back to the photo aging, right? He's
He's trying to avoid that.
He's trying to avoid the photo aging. So that's what I'm saying. So let's go with that. That means that the moment that he doesn't keep up with his procedures, he's going to photo age to a high degree. Now, it's going to manifest in the following way. It's going to manifest in potentially something like melanoma, or not melanoma, sorry. I'm blanking on the name. It's what happened to Michael Jackson.
Oh, vitiligo.
Vitiligo, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you mean to tell being so pale?
No. But because he's not black, it's going to go in the opposite direction.
Reverse vitiligo.
Which is what?
Is he going to get darker?
Melasma.
I've never heard of melasma.
Oh, really? Yeah,
No, I've never heard of melasma.
His hair and stuff will turn color and stuff too, right? A little bit.
Yeah. He'll get grayer hair and he'll probably start forming melasma.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Now, again, how long is that runway before it starts to happen? I don't know. It depends on how much money he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's an interesting thing because, people are trying to replicate some of his protocols, right? And I just hope black and brown folks kind of ignore his sunlight advice, because I see a lot of people that, as I told you, my aunt is a nurse and she's older, and she's like, I was talking to her about sunlight. She's like, you can't be in that UVB. I'm like, you are 100% Nigerian and a dark-skinned woman. What do you mean? Right? But these things permeate and people start to believe it. Everyone starts to believe it for themselves.
It's good propaganda.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
I think certain cultures are terrified of the sun as well. Like I believe the Asian cultures.
Well, actually, what I've heard, right? Because my wife just went to Thailand and Cambodia and all of that, right? And she asked them, because they're obsessed with that. They're obsessed with hiding from
lightning
the sun.
creams.
Exactly. Right?
Yes.
And the reason why is because it is viewed as being wealthy. It's viewed as because it makes sense, right? Because if you're wealthy, you pay people to do things. You don't go outside as often.
Pale, yeah.
You become more pale. So they're trying to emulate that status.
Ryan, can you look up fair and handsome skin commercial? Just look that up on YouTube, please, because this is the most hilarious thing. But Mark, you were saying that Asian countries fear the sun?
I believe a lot of Asian people do fear the sun.
It is quite
probably
interesting.
for some of the reasons you're mentioning. And then I know in Australia, but Australia might actually have some reasons, because I believe that
Can I interject on there?
yeah.
Australians don't. Those are
The
totally
Aboriginals.
Right.
Yeah, they're dark. They're good. It's the ones who fast traveled over there that are fucked.
Yeah, and those people, right? Expats
Yeah.
to the island. They might have a legitimate reason to do that, but it isn't anything to do with the sun. It has to do with this guy.
Deuterium depleted
They
water.
have the worst water on the planet.
Really?
So that means that now all cellular processes are halted or slowed down significantly, including the repair mechanism.
Question for you. Okay, so the water's a big deal, but does it really have nothing to do with the sun? Because Australia's UV is violent.
Yeah,
So,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if you're an expat there, right? And
Yeah.
kind of like you telling me, the whole UVB conversation that we just had about you specifically, right?
yes.
You have to hack this environment. There's no way around it. Now, your hacks are minimal. They have to hack that environment.
That would be their hack. Having deuterium depleted water.
Having deuterium depleted water, figuring out ways to make more melanin.
Don't they have issues with like their ozone layer? Or is that kind of bullshit, you think?
It's not over Australia. It's in that region.
Okay.
It's more over Antarctica. That's what I'm saying. It has almost nothing to do with. I'm not saying that they don't get stronger sun there, because they do. Because the southern hemisphere is actually because the Earth is not a perfect sphere. It actually is. They get a few miles closer
Yeah.
in their summertime versus our summertime, right? I'm not debating that. I'm saying the reason why Europeans in Australia are having problems is because they don't belong there. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you actually knew the information that I'm trying to give you, about the physics of how biology works and all of this stuff, you would quickly come to the realization that you need to hack your environment at specific times of the year.
Yeah.
For you, it's the cold stuff here. For them, it's the summer stuff there, right? How do you hack that environment? Well, you need a lot of damn tyrosine. Tyrosine is what's going to turn into melanin and dopamine and stuff like that, right? You need a lot of time. You need a lot of tyrosine. And then you need to speed up all biological processes involved with taking tyrosine and turning into melanin and that's going to be here, right? Right? You're going to speed up that process as much as possible.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when it's summertime, you cannot afford to not be grounded if you're outside, right? Because the solar energy is that much more powerful, right? And that also means, going back to the DHA thing, that means that their DHA level in their membranes needs to be like 11, not 8. It needs to be 12 or 13 or 14. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they implemented the hacks, they would be probably a lot better off. But they don't. They live a modern lifestyle just like everybody else.
Yeah. What is the, because they have the highest incidences of skin cancer in the world. So what is the also using sunscreen and getting all that sun potentially doing to them too? Like,
It's making them have more skin cancer. You're seeing the result.
now,
Right?
can you explain that? Like, because like in their minds, this sunscreen is going to prevent me from getting this cancer. Why is it the exact opposite?
Okay. So number one, every time you put sunscreen on, you're atrophying your skin.
Yes.
So that means that, let's go back to the cast analogy because it works pretty good, right? So my bicep is getting smaller and smaller. And instead of when I randomly don't put it on, or I forget to put it on because you have to apply it, right? Like, that's what I'm saying, right? Or you get in the water and you can't quite tell when it's not working or when it's not, right? So think of it this way, right? I'm atrophying my bicep a lot. But when I reach for that dumbbell, it's not a 10-pound dumbbell, it's a 100-pound.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident I'm going to rip my bicep if I keep doing it like that.
100%.
Right? Like, again, can we talk about all the science? I mean, I guess if you want to, but I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you use a lot of UV, you're in a place with stronger sun. When you happen to forget it or happen to wash it off, you're going to be exposed.
Yeah.
You're not bulletproofing yourself. Right? So how do you bulletproof yourself in that environment if you're a European?
Be tan.
Try your damnedest to be as tan as possible. Exactly. Make like the Aborigines. Walk around barefoot, get as tan as hell.
But also get your DHA, all those things you were just talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like, you're going to have to do things, right? You're going to have to do things that normal people don't do because you got to hack that environment because you don't belong there. Just like you were saying earlier, I don't really belong here. Can I hack the environment? The answer is yes, you can.
Yeah.
Do you have to do it year round? You don't.
Don't make the comment. Someone's going to make the comment of Nsima, just go back to Africa. Fuck you. 100% fuck you. Because I know someone's going to say that shit. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
okay, if you're going to be a multi-global race, the human race, then you have to learn these things in order to stay as healthy as possible. Now, school and things like that, if you learn to learn, you will come up with a lot of these things. That's why science is advancing and demonstrating some of the things that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's because people that learn aren't indoctrinated. They learn.
Yeah.
That's not the average human being. Right? The average human being is indoctrinated. That's why this whole slather yourself with sunscreen is actually so damn popular, is because propaganda really works.
I wonder when that's going to culturally change. Because it's like that, the sunscreen stuff is like, so you can't avoid it.
Yeah, it's still popular here. I can't even believe it.
Right? There's this guy, Dr. Ade Adamson. He is a dermatologist, but he's like he puts out a lot of information that's kind of fighting back against that, especially for information when it comes to black and brown folks. Because
you said the DHA will help you. The seed oils will hurt you. It will make you burn easier.
And now you have a modern society basically living off of seed oils. I'm not joking, right? You cannot go to a grocery store
find something
and find something with a label that doesn't have a seed oil in it that has a high amount of linoleic acid, right? Without paying an exorbitant amount of money compared to the like product from a seed oil.
Yeah.
Right? Now, going back, I want to add one more thing to the whole sunscreen thing in Australia, but basically anywhere where you're applying sunscreen, is any amount of sunscreen is harmful, not just for the cast effect that I described. At the chemical level, these are all tyrosine inhibitors. What does that mean?
inhibits your ability to tan and create melanin.
Even when you don't use it, you have to go through a detox period.
Shit.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be absorbed into your skin.
Sam, are you listening?
Right? So it's going to be absorbed. So what is tyrosine also turn into? Not just melanin. It turns into dopamine.
Ooh. Yikes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sunscreen doesn't just affect your ability to withstand the sun and not tan when you stop using it for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. It also blunts your ability to make neurotransmitters. So you become more able to be addicted to anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know,
because you're a dopamine seeking creature, so that you're going to find it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to find it on a screen.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it right there. You are going to find it on a screen.
Yeah.
Or a drug. A screen or a drug is going to be the most popular way that you're going to quench that dopamine thirst. Yeah. Under normal circumstances, you're not seeking dopamine. You're seeking an environment that allows you to make dopamine. Mm-hmm. But because you can't make it, now you seek something that depletes it from internal stores. You see what I'm saying? It's like a savings account, right? Melanin internally and externally is a savings account for neurotransmitter production, right? It gets degraded into precursors of these neurotransmitters. Mm-hmm. And so it's a savings account. So when you can't physically make it because UV light and infrared light are absent in your life, you're going to start acting in more dopamine seeking behavior.
What's this commercial?
Play the second one. Just play the second one. I don't think it's going to get us copyright. Okay, it's a dark-skinned Indian man walking by. Right?
फेयर एनहांसर क्योंकि कड़ी धूप और शेविंग मर्दों की त्वचा को बनाए सख्त और उस पर लड़कियों वाली फेयरनेस क्रीम बेअसर सिर्फ वर्ल्ड्स नंबर 1 इमामी फेयर एनहांसर का डबल स्ट्रेंथ पेप्टाइड और जड़ी बूटियां मर्दों की टफ स्किन के अंदर तक जाए और गोरा बनाए
takes away that darkness.
Fair and handsome.
Fair and handsome. There's also Fair and Beautiful, which is a female version, because every single country has its even like, this is the thing, these are brown skin countries. Africa has its own type of products that is supposed to make the skin lighter, because everywhere in the world, you know, not just America, people look at lighter as better. And it's unfortunate because looking at that for a brown skinned person will build the habit of sun avoidance. It's like the thing you need more, right? People feel like makes you look worse, is less attractive. And it's also, again, the people who worked in the sun historically were the poor people, were the working class. So it's just so hard for people to escape things that fuck with their health.
It's called propaganda.
Yeah.
You didn't see a commercial right now. You saw propaganda. Right? Propaganda is legalized lying. Right? Like commercials and advertisements are legalized lying.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Again, I'm not surprised by any of this. Right? Like, number one, that people are being convinced like this. Why? Because the moment you get them to even do it for a week or a month, they're now more lower dopamine. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now you can convince somebody that's more low dopamine to do things that they might think is, you know, they might actually think and coordinate and make, you know, connections with, wait a minute, do I really want to, you know, they're going to start thinking third and fourth and fifth tier order consequences.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're seeking dopamine because you can't make it, you don't think in third, second, and fourth order consequences. You think in, I need this now. I want it now.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, you're probably not even conscious of it. Right. That's what I'm saying, because it's so ingrained. Right. Because that's what's driven evolution and pattern seeking behavior. Like dopamine is, and let me be clear, like we've been talking a lot about dopamine and, you know, how it relates to depression and brain function and all that. It's what makes you an athlete. Because dopamine is in all neurons. It's there as a pattern recognition neurotransmitter. So, for example, a lot of people don't know this, but your calves have an enormous amount of dopamine in them. It's why you can walk upright and others can't.
Oh, okay.
Because locally, right, a lot of the neuronal coordination has been offloaded, the dopaminergic neurons in the calves, so that your brain doesn't have to think about all the intricacies of all the muscles in your foot to keep you upright. It just has to think about balance, and, you know, there's the vestibular system, you know, for balance and coordination up here.
Yeah.
Right. But that's primarily focusing on head position, brain position, arm length, and all of that. But your calves, right? Like I can move around like this and everything, and I'm not thinking about what my toes are doing or my calves or how my ankles are. Like consciously, if I really focus, I can tell. Yeah. But if I'm just walking and moving, right, there's a specific coordination with all these muscles in the calf. That's offloaded to all the dopamine neurons in your calf.
Okay.
Because they're a pattern recognition and problem solving molecule. Right? So if you suck at making dopamine or you don't have that, you're going to be less coordinated globally and less coordinated centrally. So you can't think well.
Yeah, there's some pharmaceuticals that can make you stronger almost instantly or faster almost instantly because they play upon
The dopamine receptor.
dopamine. Where can people find you?
They can find me at solarathlete.com. That's the website. They can find me on Instagram. That's the Solar Athlete, and also my personal Instagram that has my lifting and other stuff with my friend Eurus that I do a podcast with every single Tuesday. And so every single week there's a podcast and we put shorts and stuff up. The podcast is on YouTube. It's his YouTube channel, but the shorts are on my personal Instagram.
The shorts are a little newer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed you guys are putting out more content.
Yeah, and it's David Herrera 1119. And that's going to be a mixture of everything. The mixture of the things that I'm looking about. Sometimes it's studies, sometimes it's shorts, the people that I work with, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of like the everything that I do, including politics, including, Bitcoin or silver or other things. Like basically that's my personal page, right? And you'll get a lot of that. And then my Solar Athlete page is more directly tied to the type of stuff that we've been talking about here. And I post studies there and stuff like that. Not a lot, but I do post a lot of that type of stuff there. That's mainly dedicated to that. And the shorts that we put out in terms of podcasts that are similar to this type of information.
You also do some consulting or Q&A on school, right?
Yeah, so I have a school group as well. That I think it's linked in one of those two Instagrams, and that is a school group. Obviously, you get all the YouTube stuff. You get some stuff that's not allowed on YouTube, and there is an open Q&A every single month. I personally answer all the questions there, all of that type of stuff. So if you log in and you have a question and it's live, you will get your answer live. You can also write questions in and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically all the places that you can find me.
I'm excited because next time we have you on the show, you'll have just hit a 2,000 pound raw total at 40 years old.
Hopefully so.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.
Awesome.